So I said in my last video that Aiden and I are going to be moving into a new place in August, and this is the whole video about it, and you might have guessed from the title what it's about. My parents are basically buying us a flat, and this is just, you know, a video kind of about that, because I saw in May there was an article that kind of blew up on Twitter that was about the Bank of Mum and Dad, which is my bank right now when it comes to this housing thing. So I'm going to link that article and another one that was also relevant to this whole housing crisis mess in the description, which you should definitely check out because they're really good reads. But yeah, my parents are pretty well off. Both of them started their own businesses. My mum is really, really money savvy. She knows like all about investments. They own other properties already, like they have several flats in my hometown, and they've always been pretty okay with the idea of buying Aiden and me a place to live and like us paying them the mortgage, being their tenants basically, and them being our landlords. We knew that we would be moving to Bath, and we looked at rent prices in Bath and they are high. Like, Bath is not a cheap place to live. Mum hoped that they would be able to loan us the money for us to buy the place ourselves, but Aiden is still like legally a student and I haven't had a stable contracted job for over a year, so like on those grounds alone, we are not, like no one is going to give us a mortgage. It's just not gonna happen. As I said, my parents already own several flats in their hometown, and it's always kind of been the plan for them to sell those off like one at a time in the lead up to retirement, for them to retire elsewhere. So they've basically started that a few years earlier than planned because of us. So they're selling one now, and they've also inherited a chunk of money from my granny who died a couple of years ago. The money has just come through essentially, and that's why my parents are able to afford this investment. And like, I struggled for quite a while with the idea of them buying us a house, because like that is a super privileged position, right? Damn! You know, these aren't normal circumstances. Most people's parents cannot afford to be this generous. Usually a couple like Aiden and me, we would have to work for years and years and years and years and years before even being able to consider getting a mortgage, because they're that expensive now. But I've kind of just come around to the idea basically because there's no point in making life more difficult for ourselves. We're not helping anyone by renting instead of buying through my parents, you know? No one's benefiting from that by us renting instead, not really, as far as I can see anyway. And you know, what parents wouldn't want to help their kids out like this? My parents love me and they don't want to see me struggle, and that's perfectly understandable. Like, why should I stand in their way, right? And I only really like understood the whole rent versus buying thing pretty recently. Like, I never really understood what people were talking about when they said a property ladder. If you don't understand, I'm gonna give you a real quick breakdown, and if you do and you just, I don't know, absorbed that information somehow when I didn't, you can just go ahead and skip the next minute or two, I guess. So as I understand it, what it comes down to is that when you buy a house, you put down a percentage of the price as the deposit, and then the rest you borrow from a bank, and that is the mortgage. Like, that loan is the mortgage. And then you pay off a chunk of that mortgage each month the same way that you would pay rent. But because you're paying off a loan and you're not paying rent, when you buy a new house, if you buy a new house, the money, like the mortgage gets transferred. So if you're buying a bigger or a better property, you might have to borrow more money from the bank and like extend or increase the mortgage, but like you're not back to square one is the point. Like, that's why it's a ladder. You know, you move up the ladder each step, and the money you've paid off is still paid off. Also, when you're paying a mortgage instead of paying rent, you technically own the house, so you can do what you want with it, which is kind of awesome, really. I'm really looking forward to that aspect of it. Like, we can do what we want with it. We don't have to get permission to put shelves up or paint the place, or, and this is honestly super key to the whole thing, get a cat. We're gonna get a cat. We're gonna get a cat. A real cat! That is honestly such a big motivation, which is ridiculous, but you have no idea. Like, I have dreams about getting a cat. It's that extreme. So the way that we'll be doing it is that it'll be like paying rent. Like, we'll be paying off the mortgage through my parents. Like, we'll pay them what they would be paying the bank, but they will own the property technically. But yeah, they are our bank. The Bank of Mum and Dad. Which is super awkward. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video about it because, I don't know, to get it all off my chest and to keep you guys updated, and because, I don't know, I find watching this sort of thing and knowing this about other people really interesting, because it's something that people don't often talk about a lot, in my experience anyway. Like, people aren't very candid about this sort of thing. Whew, okay. So now that's all the heavy stuff out of the way, I gotta ask your opinions, because I bought some sunglasses. And I bought 2 pairs, and I'm gonna send one of them back, but I have to make up my mind. So like, if you watch Lex Can Roar, or Tyrannosaurus Rex, you might recognize these. But yeah, I saw her video of her, like, I think they were her May favorites, and she had these sunglasses. And my whole body was like, oh, I want them. I've never craved sunglasses before, it's really embarrassing. So these are the sunglasses that she bought, and they're really pretty. Also, they were on sale when I bought them, so... Like, £28 is still a ridiculous amount to pay for sunglasses, but I went around and I looked at all the high street shops, and honestly, like, I'm willing to pay the extra. But yeah, these were the other pair that I also thought of getting. They're not quite as blue. They've got a little more of a cat eye frame than a round frame, but yeah, I'm undecided so far, and I would like your opinions. They're both really beautiful. You'll notice that obviously the frames are really similar. I really like the marble frames, but yeah. Toss up, which do you think? But I have to send one of them back because I can't afford both. I can barely afford one pair. Okay, all right. Awesome, so that was this. I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!